This house in Beirut is where Carlos Ghosn is believed to be holed up. Now arguably one of the world's most famous fugitives, sought by police in Japan and Turkey, the subject of an Interpol red notice and a global media frenzy. His escape has embarrassed authorities in Japan, where Ghosn had lived under house arrest and strict bail conditions, including a ban on overseas travel. Media reports say these surveillance cameras show him simply walking out of his Tokyo home on Sunday. He didn't return. The former head of the Renault-Nissan car-making alliance and a giant in the global auto industry, he was first arrested in 2018. He was facing trial on charges of financial misconduct, allegations he's repeatedly denied. His escape spanned 3 continents and plenty of mystery. Ghosn contends he was fleeing political persecution. A Turkish company, MNG Jet, says Ghosn took a charter flight from Osaka to Istanbul and another from there to his childhood home, Beirut.
It's understood that there's an entry to Lebanon after a transit through Turkey from Japan. The following is very important. It is understood that there was a transfer in the cargo department at the airport in Istanbul.
MNG says an employee falsified flight records so Ghosn's name didn't appear. 5 people have been arrested in Turkey, accused of human trafficking. Ghosn has tried before to evade attention by dressing as a workman when leaving custody in March. In his blog, lawyer Takashi Takano, seen here with a beard, says he felt betrayed by Carlos Ghosn's escape, but not by Ghosn himself, instead the Japanese legal system. Ghosn had been barred from seeing his wife in what Takano called a violation of human rights, and another lawyer says Ghosn was being spied on. Carlos Ghosn is promising to tell his side of the story this week. Alexi, Aljazeera.
Well, Jake Adelstein is an investigative journalist at the Daily Beast, and we can talk to him now in Tokyo. Jake, welcome to the programme. It is an extraordinary story, isn't it? Vanished under 24-hour surveillance, ramifications over his escape, absolutely widespread. As to how the escape was facilitated, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I think that Mr. Ghosn has been in Japan for a very long time, so he knows that at the end of the year, Japan enters New Year's mode, which is probably the most important holiday season here, so that there would be very few people watching him. So if he was going to escape, this was the time. And he had been sort of preparing, including taking lessons in the martial arts and seeing a physical trainer. So he was ready to run. And I don't blame him. I don't think he was escaping just political persecution. He's escaping a system in which you only have a 1% chance of winning. It's a very broken system.
But there will be many. There will be many there in Japan who will perceive that Ghosn is cheating justice, and it's certainly very embarrassing for Japan itself, and not least Nissan too.
Well, for Nissan, this is a huge headache because as long as Ghosn has been shut up, they don't have to deal with their own problems, with their own questions of why they did this in the first place. Think about this. You could have just fired Carlos Ghosn. Why does Nissan go to the prosecutors and make a plea bargain to put Carlos Ghosn in jail? And why do they consult with the prime minister's lawyer to do it? It's a very odd thing to do. And for what is a negligible, well, not a negligible, but a financial crime that's very dubious in the first place.
How will this?
It doesn't happen to other Japanese.
No, I was just going to say, how has this case played out in the court of public opinion, and certainly the latest developments?
There is a word that is very popular. It's trending in Japanese media called Jokyu Kokumin, which means the upper class. And Carlos Ghosn's case has been trotted out again and again as a case of selective justice, meaning the people at Tokyo Electric Power Company who were responsible for a nuclear disaster that damaged the lives of thousands. They weren't prosecuted. The people at Takata Airbag who made defective products that killed people weren't prosecuted. And people are wondering, why does Carlos Ghosn get this heavy-handed treatment? So, in many ways, there's kind of sort of snickering reportage of kind of like, well, you get what you deserve for doing this crazy case in the first place.
All right. What about now? What now for Carlos Ghosn? Life as a fugitive, can he rest happy in Lebanon, do you think?
He has a problem in Lebanon because as the president of Nissan, he went to Israel, which is against the law in Lebanon, to my understanding, and that may come back to haunt him. But I think, generally speaking, Lebanon has no desire to hand him over to the Japanese authorities. And in fact, they asked for him to be tried in Lebanon, where he might actually have gotten a fair trial.
Interesting. Well, it's great to get your perspective on this. It's a fascinating story. Jake Adelstein talking to us there from Tokyo. Thanks very much indeed.